Guys, I'm really excited to have you here today. So, Rebecca Kramer, thanks so much for joining me. Today, I have Danny Calafell with me, who is an expert at being able to. What were the numbers? Like, you've helped small and mid-sized companies from 6 figures all the way up to 100 million. Danny, thanks so much for joining me. More. Maybe you can introduce yourself and give a little more details than I was able to do just now. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. Sure. I basically I got a consulting firm. It's one of the my main thing. We scale businesses. So, we'll work with companies, doing 200 2 million and up. We'll go all the way up to, Fortune 500s. Mainly, we work with small to mid-sized companies. We just scale them. So we have 20 different services that we offer, whatever areas we see that need improvement or we could come in and hone in on and really, amplify from there. That's what we do. I'm also in private equity, launched a company earlier this year. So we have 25 billion in capital where we work with larger companies on, we fund projects up to 2 billion. And then also I'm in acquisitions with my other partner where we buy mid-market industrial companies. So, 50, $100 million companies come in and then scale those and either hold them or resell them.
Wow. So you're busy. You're busy.
Very busy.
That's a good thing. So, Danny, I know that you work with small and medium-sized businesses, and over the last year, these businesses have had, there have been major challenges, obviously, with what's going on. What would be one thing that you could suggest, or that you could, like, a lot of these business owners, even though we're, hopefully at the end of this thing, they're still struggling, or they were, keeping afloat this whole time, and now it just feels like they can't make it to the end. Like, what would your advice be, or a suggestion for what they can do at this point?
You mean as far as like what's stopping them from going, further along? Pivoting.
Yeah.
I talked about that earlier this year, in another interview. It's all about pivoting, finding, we're now, whether people like it or not, we've been experiencing changes, I would say, in the last 2-3 years already. So the pandemic just helped speed things up and helped people become more aware that change is needed now more so than ever. So, it's just a matter of identifying what you need to change to be able to not first allow something like what happened last year to ever happen again. And then number two, to be able to identify what it is you need in order to pivot and maybe capture more of a bigger audience, or not get affected or let whatever change affect, because that's what ends up happening. I mean, I mentioned earlier, as far as, just now, as far as the industrial companies, that's a big issue for a lot of industrial companies, because you have a lot of these owners that they've been involved in that industry and that company in particular for so many years, where a lot of times we'll go into those companies and we'll see a lot of things that they're doing are outdated. A lot of methods that they have are outdated. They have software that's outdated, things like that. So we come in and we help, not only identify, but give them, not only the know-how, but also the resources, the tools, and all of that to be able to, capture more of a bigger audience that they may have not been able to capture prior. Make sense?
Absolutely. So how would they know what the next step would be? That's the resource that's something that they would need to look into, or to be able to sustain themselves. Like, how would they understand that was the next thing for them?
Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to hire people like, my company or me, jump on the programs, with Grant and all of that. I mean, sometimes you have to do that because you can't identify it yourself. And that's what separates good business owners or good business-minded people from, or the ones that are on their way to success compared to the ones that aren't. Okay, the ones that aren't, they get stubborn and they're like, no, I'm going to do it myself. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to invest in myself. I'm not going to invest into getting, what it is that I need, whether it's resources, information, which I always talk about, getting the right information. And a lot of times you'll come across people like that where they get like that, and that's why they remain stuck. And that falls into the percentage that a lot of times we hear about as far as the stats of companies that don't make it to be as successful as their potential can get them to, because they don't want to invest in themselves. They don't want to invest in people that can help them identify those missing areas,
Sometimes as a small business owner, you don't even think about asking for help. You don't think that it's even something that I feel like some of us, we start our careers and we don't think about continuing to learn or continuing to grow or get better or and so it's hard. There's some business owners that just have no idea that that's something that they should be doing, that they should be hiring someone who knows more than them.
But that's the only way you're going to get ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you expect, there's a business principle. I talked about this earlier this year too. It's called the Peter Principle. And the Peter Principle is every business or individual reaches their level of incompetence. So you have somebody that's always going to reach a certain point where they're just going to be capped. So it's where are you going to get the rest of the information from? Either you're going to stay where you are, or you're going to either hire somebody or get around the right people that are going to help elevate you and take you further. And then that's why I always say fact check. That's why I always tell people, make sure you watch where you get your information from. Research the information. Make sure you're understanding where the source of that information that's being given to you came from. Because there's a such thing as doing something the right way and getting results in a faster time frame, or doing something in what you think is the right way and taking a lot longer to get there.
And I was actually gonna ask you about that next. Like, how would you even begin to know that you're getting the right information? Like, for example, we're on Clubhouse together all the time. And actually, I think that's how we met each other. But, there's so many different rooms with so much information. Even when you talk about social media or anything else out there, there's so many people saying so many different things. Like, how do you even know how to determine if you have the right information?
The results. I want to look at people that either have the information on how to get the right results or have gotten the right results. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. It's hard in the moment, though, when you're like in a Clubhouse room and someone is saying something that seems like, it seems like they just have that locked down. It's hard for me, I'm speaking personally, and honestly, I don't think I'm the only one that,
think about it like this, Rebecca, right? Like, you're not going to go and just because they're telling you the right information, pull out your credit card and say, hey, listen, hit my card. I want to hire you as a mentor. I want to hire you as a coach. It's going to take a little bit of a process. You're still going to have the common objections or things that you need to think about and all of that. So during that time frame, that's when you have to just do your due diligence. It's not that difficult nowadays. You're in marketing, you could easily go on Google and look somebody up and say, hey, what does this person do? What are they talking about? Does it resonate with me? Who are they getting their information from? Who do they have that they're listening to and that they're following? And does that resonate with me also? I don't believe in getting 10 mentors. You can get 3 mentors and they could all be in that same area. As long as they resonate with one another and they're not pulling you, you're going in the right direction. The problem that people have is they want to listen to this person and this person says another thing. And they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe they're right. And then they go over there and then they go to somebody else and they're like, oh, well, maybe they're right. And then they go over there and it's like, you're so busy chasing, you're like a cat chasing that red laser pointer. Okay. So you're just here, there, and
not focused on it. Yeah. And so what advice would you give to someone who's trying to find a mentor, trying to figure out, who would be the right decision for their business?
Find who can get you the best results as quickly as possible, because we all know that time is the most valuable thing, period. So like I could take, everybody's gonna hit, you heard this before, I'll repeat it. Okay, everybody's gonna hit $1 million in their lifetime. Okay, you make 100,000 a year, do it in 10 years, 50 a year, you do it in 20. Okay,
right.
How fast can you get to the first million, and how many times can you do it over again? That's the point. So how much can I collapse that time frame? A lot of it has to do getting around the right people, getting the right information. Because then it's not only getting the right information, but it's, do I have the right people around me? That's why I say the two most important things to hit success: have the right people around you, be around the right people, and then watch where you get your information from. Those are the two big things right there. Everything else falls in place under that. But for me, two main things: getting the right information, getting around the right people.
And I think the right people is something different but the same as the right information, because obviously whoever you're around is going to give you the information. The right people, I mean, that can be a difficult thing, like especially if you're just starting on your journey of like really trying to be successful. Often there will be people who you associate with, who you might have learned from in the past, who are not the right people for you to learn from anymore.
Right.
And that's a hard thing too, right? Because you're leaving people behind that might have mentored you even in the past.
But it's part of the process. I mean, it's not about feelings anymore. It's about results, It's no longer about, oh, I feel bad because this person helped me get me along. Like, it doesn't mean I can't keep in contact with that person, but I've surpassed what I could learn from them. Now I move on to bigger and better things, if that's what I want. You see what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. So Michael Davis says, only seek advice from those who have proven to be highly successful in the area that you seek success in.
Right. Or on the same journey.
Yeah. So I guess that's actually a good point. Should you be specific even in, specialization? Like when you're looking for a mentor, I feel like obviously you're looking for someone who's proven success, but should you really, should you niche? Should you focus on someone who's, okay, so you've worked with other businesses that are exactly like mine, or does that even matter?
That doesn't matter. It matters the concept. It matters what it is that you're trying to hone in on. Like, I mean, I get hit with that objection all the time. How well do you know this industry? How well do you know this? How well do you know that? My purpose is not to know a specific industry. My purpose is to deliver a result that can fit any industry. Mm-hmm. It's the principles. It's the fundamentals. So like when we talk about the sales training portion of it, right? It's like, okay, how do you know this industry so well? It's not about the industry, it's about the fundamentals. As long as you know how to sell, it doesn't matter whether it's a product or service, what industry, who you're selling to. It's just the fundamentals within it. Mm-hmm. All that other stuff you get from the company. If you're looking to sell, widgets, you're going to learn from that company how to sell those widgets. But when it comes to the fundamentals of it, that's different. If you're looking for a mentor as far as like, how to structure your business right, doesn't matter the industry. It matters mm-hmm. how are you going to hire people? Who are you going to hire? What are you going to look for? How are you going to position them? What departments are you're going to utilize first? All of that. So that's what matters.
So what would be the first thing, because you've obviously grown businesses, from small, from medium to huge to big to ginormous. What would be the first thing
Not
when
ginormous.
someone comes to you? I don't know. $100 million seems like a lot to me. But so what would be the first thing if someone came to you and was, had a problem with their bit, or even just hired you, what would be some things that you would suggest that you work on with them first? I suppose it's gonna be different for every single business.
Give me an example.
Yeah.
Throw
Sorry?
an example. Throw an example. Like,
yeah. So what, I guess an average business, probably has problems with sales, right?
Right.
Maybe salespeople.
Well, everybody has problems with sales. A lot of those some businesses, like we come in, for example, like some of them, they just have a problem with structure, getting their business structured. Like you had the title, as far as identifying, what was it? Problematic anchors.
Yeah. That
What
was it.
What was the title? That was the title? Okay.
Yeah.
So
problematic
anchors. What's the purpose of an anchor?
I don't know. I have to apologize.
If you're sailing, okay. If you're sailing,
yeah,
or if you're fishing,
like,
what's the purpose of an anchor?
Spot. It's to keep you in one spot.
Right. You don't want to drift off. Right. When you're in business, or when you in life, period, you don't want to be an anchor. You don't want to surround yourself around anchors. You want to be constantly moving, but you also want to be moving towards whatever target you're looking to move towards. So I want to eliminate anchors. So if I see a department that's holding me back, like late last year, we helped one company get rid of an entire department, and we had to do that. It wasn't because it was, the owner being mean. Matter of fact, the owner fought every step of the way against getting rid of that department. It was 13 people in that department. It was like, oh, I like those people. It's not about liking the people. It's about saving your business. Yeah. You save the business, and you're able to grow the business there, then you could always go reach back out to those people and offer even better opportunities to them, and then hire more people. But you got to focus on that key element of the business first, so you can grow. And if that department is taking a lot of your cash flow, or not cash flow, I'm sorry, a lot of the money from the cash flow that you have coming in, you're having to dump it into that particular department where you could utilize it in other areas. You got to get rid of it. You got to cut it. It becomes a cancer at that moment.
So structure would be one of the first things that you look at when you're starting to work with a new business.
Correct.
Or not a new business, but a business that's new to you. So Michael Davis is saying, John says, hearing from Kenya. Hello, John. Michael says, if you're looking to scale, then someone who has achieved proven success in the area of scaling would be the right person. Yes. And then why choose Danny? Well, I mean, Danny does have the success. Danny, maybe you can ask that question. What kind of, I guess, when it comes to scaling, what are you looking for when you're choosing someone to mentor you? Especially, obviously you have the experience when it comes to scaling. So what would someone look for in a mentor?
It's not only the experience, but it also comes down to what you can do for that business, and what plan you could come up with for that particular business, and the results. Like I tell people all the time, experience is what gets you to where you are. Skills is what takes you further. So I see a lot of people that are like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I mean, I've been in this industry for 30 years. Okay. At what point did you stop growing? Or at what point did you stop learning? Or why are you where you are after 30 years? This is all this is how far you've come. You see, we get into companies and like, we've been in sales for 20 years. Why would we need to jump on your programs? And why would we need to work with, whatever process, whether it's 10X programs and all of that? Why do we need to do that? And the first thing is, okay, well, you've been in sales for 20 years, but look at where you're at.
Yeah.
You see, and it's not a shot at you. It's just whatever information you got and you've been utilizing up to this point has gotten you this far. You've just been at that point coasting. So you jump on with us and we're going to take you further.
And I know from having coaches, like, it's not that you don't necessarily have that knowledge. It's just that you haven't implemented it, or you would be seeing the results that you want.
Well, sometimes people don't even know how to do it. It goes back to what we were originally talking about. Like they struggle. Like you heard at GrowthCon when I think his name was Mike. He was having an issue, where he was doing what, $750 a year, and he jumped on a program, and in his first year, Brandon got up on stage and he said it. Within his first year, he did Brandon Dawson. He did. I'm talking to you like a lot of people don't know who it is that we're talking about. So Brandon Dawson got up on stage and he was saying that the guy jumped on with one of the programs, and I think it was 360, and he saw results in a year. He jumped from 750 to 1.5 million.
Mike Lemieux?
I think so. I'm not sure.
I think so. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it is definitely absolutely important to find the right mentor, and even if you have the knowledge, actually have someone to help you implement things. Because I think at the same time, having a mentor or a coach doesn't necessarily mean that you don't know what you're doing, that you're not motivated to grow. It just means that, yeah, maybe you don't know the path, but maybe you also need someone to actually keep you accountable too. I think that as entrepreneurs, that's sometimes a struggle, especially for small business owners, for sure with small business owners.
100%.
So when it comes to the anchor, and so for example, getting rid of whole departments if you need to, when sales is the biggest challenge and you've gotten rid of that department, what are some things that would be important to consider when you are concerned about your sales? If you're stagnant and not growing.
What's stopping you from growing? I mean, is it again, that's why you got to bring, that's why it's important to bring in people who know how to identify things like that. You see what I mean? Because if you're if you're in a company and your company has been stagnant for that long, obviously, and I'm sorry, if your company has been stagnant for that long and the potential could be a lot more than that, obviously you don't know how to get it further, because if you did, you'd be doing it. So that's when you say, okay, let me stop with my ego, and I'm tough like that. You know what I mean? Like I want because I want to help people. I want people to understand things. So sometimes I'll just tell them flat out. I'll tell a customer flat out, look, stop with the ego. Do you want your business to be successful? You want to hit your potential? You want to stay where you are?
Yeah.
It's, so and a lot of times it is the ego. It's like, I don't want to have somebody come in here and try to tell me to do this and do that when I've been doing it for this long. And that's the ego that stops you from getting to where you need to be at. Because I don't care what level of success you tell me that anybody has, period, on this planet. The most successful people have mentors. The most successful people know when they need to stop with, whatever it is that they're doing, because it's just not working, and they need to get somebody who knows better than that. That's why you have companies like Accenture, Bain, McKinsey. That's why you have these companies that work with some of the largest companies in the world. They bring them on. I was talking to one of the partners of Accenture. The guy was working on a $623 million deal, okay, with a huge company. All right. And they brought him on, took him, it was like, these are long cycle deals. So they're like 13 months. But, that they brought them on just for one particular area. It wasn't where it was like, okay, we're going to hire Accenture, we're going to bring them in, and we're going to have them manage everything. Because when you start working with the bigger companies, they'll only bring you on for one portion of it. So they'll hire like 2 or 3 consulting firms, and they'll have them work in different areas. Just like with marketing, for example, right? You're in marketing. So what they'll do is they'll bring you on, and they'll bring another 2 other companies, and they'll have you focus on one area, the other 2 companies focus in other areas. That's how large it gets. But they know better. So I look at companies like that, and I'm like, okay, well, if they're doing that, then what makes you that's doing $2 million a year think that you don't need to bring anybody to help you out? That's why you're doing $2 million a year, and you've been doing it for that long, because you have that small mindset, that limited mindset.
Yeah. And so for the business owners that are, I mean, there's some business owners that are not at 2 million that are, doing what it takes to survive right now. What would you say is the difference between a business that is 500,000 or a million versus 2 million versus 5 million? Like, how are these smaller guys bringing themselves up to the higher levels?
Finding out again what's holding them back and what can catapult them. Because I look for things that are going to catapult. I don't look for things that are going to slowly ramp up. Sometimes it's the process, but I want to look for things that are going to hit.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait. Like I said, I mean, how long do you want to take to hit your potential? You want to wait till 20 years from now? Or you want to do it in 2 years? If I could find somebody that can help me do it in a quicker time frame, I'm going to find a way to get either a hold of that person or get them honed into what it is that I'm doing to try to learn, so I can at least get close to there, or at least be on the path or on the journey towards there, and stop wasting time trying to, again, figure it out and try to think that I could do it on my own, which is what happens when you look at companies that are doing less than $1 million. They're still trying to figure it out. I've come to see that there are companies like that when they're at that $1-2 million mark, they're starting to get it, and that's when we come in, and it's like boom, and they understand it, and they have no problem writing checks. I mean, you're going to have the common objections, but they have no problem, understanding that because they've hit that point. But when you look at people that are doing less than that, companies that are doing less than that, it takes them a little bit longer. So it's a lot more difficult to explain to them, hey, you're going to have to invest this much money in order to get, the results that you're looking to get. You understand?
Sometimes I think it's hard as entrepreneurs, as small business owners, to wrap your mind around the fact that you have to take action. You can't just, like, if you always do what you've always been doing, you're not going to grow. And I like the catapult, the word catapult, like that analogy, of just, I mean, who wouldn't want to catapult their business, right? Steady growth is fine. It's great. It's safe. But I think, catapulting your business, that's so much more interesting.
I'll take it back, right? When I was in sports, because like, like I didn't start in business. I started as an athlete, right? So
you're a
like,
boxer.
I was a boxer, 18 years, So like when I first, I'll take it back, right? So like when I first stepped in the gym, my mindset was like, I was working hard, and I've always been, I was real disciplined and everything, but I was seeking out people that were better. And I don't know if it was just like an ego thing for me, because I just wanted to be around the best, because, and it's been like that. I mean, throughout the entire time that I was in the entertainment industry, I mean, I was around super highly successful people, celebrities, and it's just my desire to want to be around the best, and being around them made me better, because I learned things that I would have never learned from people either at my level or below that, So like after I left the first gym that I went to, I started seeking out gyms that there were nothing but world champions, former world champions, future world champions, all these guys. We were in small camps, so it was like maybe 10 of us. And everybody was fighting on HBO, ESPN, Spanish network, Showtime, pay-per-view. So it's like I knew that being there, I'd get beat up, but it taught me something. And then eventually it made me better. It made me understand things. I started understanding a lot more about the business, about the business aspect of it. I started learning more tricks and things like that. And then I just took that. Then I incorporated it into the business. And it's the same thing. I want to be around people that are better.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? They can teach me things. I don't want to be where I am. Where I am has gotten to me where I'm at. See, I'm sorry. What I've learned has gotten to me where I'm at. In order for me to get further, I need to learn more. Make sense? Like, absolutely. I want to constantly learn more. I want to constantly be around people who know more. I want to constantly be around things that are going to help, again, catapult. I don't want to wait till I'm 60 You know what I mean? To hit numbers that I have the potential to hit. I want to
Yeah.
do that 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, I mean, I'm a boxing fan. Of course, I'm a boxing fan. I heard an analogy that, I don't know if it would be an analogy, but that Mayweather would probably be a great salesperson because he does the same thing or a similar thing to what you should be doing in sales. So the first couple rounds, he's kind of feeling out his opponent, asking questions, not responding. Maybe some would say that he's losing even. But then as he finds out the information that he needs, he starts to win. He uses that information and he starts to win. I thought that was an interesting analogy because that is sales. Like you have to be finding out and asking questions. And I mean, if you're finding out the information, you're going to be able to use it and help that sale, that lead, that opportunity, understand that they need your services or products.
I understand also that a lot of times people they don't they don't know what areas they need help, because if they knew, they'd be calling you up and saying, hey, I need help in this area, I need help in that area, I need help with this is where I'm struggling. A lot of times, like I said, I'll walk into a company or I'll have a conversation with a company and I'm asking questions because I'm finding out what it is they know and what it is they don't know. And then I'm dissecting things to find out, okay, they're weak here, they're weak there. This is how we can help here. This is how we can help there. But before we do this, we need to do this. So I start picking things apart,
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, as much as they pick it apart, and it's just because I've done it so many times and that's just my area. But a lot of these other companies, their area isn't growing the business or anything. Their area is what they're good at, their industry, what it is that they know how to do. And that's why I said it's important to find the right people, find the right company, find the right resources that are going to get you the results that you're looking to get. That's the key point. That's why I told you before, you have companies, they hire the big ones, they hire different marketing firms for different areas, for different things. McDonald's, they'll hire one marketing firm to focus on what new thing they have coming out. Like I think the McRib just came back out again. They have another marketing firm or another marketing campaign going towards mobile users and mobile app users. They have another one going out to retargeting people that already ate there and that have kids. And so all these different things are going on, but they're getting different ideas from different resources and different types of people because different people are good at different things.
Yeah, that absolutely definitely makes sense. So Danny, question for you. Yeah. What are you, so you have so much going on right now. You obviously, I think you listed three different exciting things at the beginning of this. What are you the most excited about right now that you have?
Anything that scales businesses is my excitement. I like helping people. That's why everything that I mentioned, it all ties into scaling.
Yeah.
Like I just want to see people, companies, everybody hit their potential,
Absolutely.
Whatever it is. Everybody's definition of success is different. I just want people to be successful. And I just get tired of hearing from people that, they're not where they're at because of the people that, again, the people they're around and the information that they're getting. That's what frustrates me the most. That's why, like when we go on Clubhouse and stuff like that, I hear certain things from certain people and it just irritates me because it's like, that's not the right information. And you listen to that and that's why you are where you are,
That bugs me too. But usually I just say something.
I'll say something too, but still, I mean, what irritates me is, like I said, people don't fact check. It's like research people, Google them. Yeah. I always tell people, I'm like, it took me very long to be able to say this. I tell people, go on Google, type my name, and you'll see Jose.
What's up, champ?
It took me so long to be able to, say, just Google, Google the person, find out if what they're saying is real, if it resonates with you and where the information came from.
Yeah. It's frustrating to me when sometimes if it's in my room, I'll say something, and maybe if it's in someone else's room, I might ask a question that would help them correct themselves.
Right.
But anyways, so Danny, I absolutely appreciate you joining me today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Do you have any other questions? Hit me with what you got.
Pardon?
Hit me with what you got. Do you have any more questions?
I mean, questions, I suppose we can even ask anyone else if they have any questions. Oh, Paul Lucas said Jose showed up. Yeah, that was Jose Sainz. I share a clubhouse room every day with Canadian Jose, Monday through Friday, and then on Saturdays is usually the one that you join us, Danny.
Yeah. Sometimes mornings are like crazy for me. It's like I'll step in the room for like 1-2 minutes and then I get a call.
I know lots of people were excited to be watching today and to be seeing you on here today. So definitely appreciate you being here. Other than the questions that I've asked, I mean, I would be excited to find out if there's, what would be your kind of last tip to mostly the audience that I have would be entrepreneurs, small business owners, maybe small to medium, just not the 100 million ones yet. But what would be, some strong advice that you can just, end off today with?
Embed yourself with the right information, okay, to get to the point where you can invest in yourself more.
Mm-hmm.
The number one thing for a lot of the companies that are doing less than $1 million, $2 million, you'll hear Grant talk about it. You'll hear a lot of people that know. Huh?
Grant, I just want to make sure that everybody knows who you're talking about. Grant is Grant Cardone.
Yes. So you'll hear exactly.
Not everybody knows.
It's like we're having a conversation. So you'll hear this a lot, and it's the first 100. We tell this to people all the time. The first 100,000 needs to go into you. First 100,000 needs to go into you. You need to learn, because here's the thing, right? You grow the business, but then what are you going to do when you grow the business? It's going to cost you more money to find out what you're going to do than if you already know what to do. That's why a lot of people, when they win the lottery, they end up worse off than they were before they won it, because they don't know what to do. They've never encountered that much money before, and it's all hitting them at once, and it's just in one shot. So it's like, boom, I got all this money. Okay, now what do I do? Who cares that you went to school? School doesn't teach you things like that. School doesn't teach you things like this, right? So somebody gets a hold of $500,000 and it's like, boom, I got $500,000 right here. What do I do? And it's just like, or I win even more. The lottery, has gone up to close to $1 billion at this point. So it's like, I'm getting a hold of so much money. What do I do? What do I invest in? How do I do this? And then it costs you more money later on because you don't know what to do with the money. You haven't understood that point yet. And that's why we always say, invest in yourself first. Get enough information of what it is to at least have an idea and know what's necessary to grow the business, and then get somebody who can take you further, who has the resources,
Absolutely. And I definitely agree. Invest in yourself. Nobody can take that away from you. You can never lose by investing in yourself and your own knowledge. So Danny Calafell, thank you so much for joining me today.
Somebody had a question, or do you want to wrap it up?
Oh, sorry. We do have some time. I do have a question. What if you have to run your business by yourself and you happen to be in an environment where you can't find the right people to surround yourself with.
If you can't find the right people to surround yourself with, and what? If you run your business yourself and you happen to be in an environment where you can't, oh, I see them here now. Okay. So so happen to be in an environment where you can't find the right people to surround yourself with. Great question. You need to look for people. People aren't going to come to you. Like all the success and successful people and knowledgeable people that I've been around, I went out and looked for them. I went out and just started doing what I was on track to do, and just started getting to know the right people. Sometimes it's going to take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people to connect you with other people that may know other people. And the next thing you know, you're dealing with somebody that's good. Like this company that I told you with the private equity situation, that's something that just fell on my lap. But I got connected with this guy who's not my partner and friend, and I got connected with him through my other friend. So it was just a mutual not even a mutual contact. He just connected me. He was like, "Hey, listen, I know you're wanting to get into the private equity space. Get in contact with this guy." Next thing you know, I have a conversation with him. He's telling me the numbers. I never thought that it would lead to, a fund of 25 billion. Wow. That's a huge number. But again,
huge number.
Yeah. I mean, these guys fund countries. They fund government projects, Wow. So the average bank, I believe they hold 3 billion in it, and we fund projects up to 2.
That's phenomenal. Definitely phenomenal.
But I would say, get around the right people. If you can't find the right people, go out and look for them. Get on networks, get in the right networking, rooms, fact check. Google is your friend.
Google is your best friend. I'm the best virtual stock. As a salesperson, it's important that you have these skills.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes. Michael said he's like, what's the difference between me and Brandon? It's the same program. Michael, I'm partnered with Grant Cardone. I'm a licensee.
Oh, so yeah, that's another thing that we didn't introduce you with that at the beginning. Man, you have so much knowledge when it comes to this stuff.
It's learning, and I'm still learning. Rebecca, I'm still learning.
Me too. I love it. I'm still learning, and I feel like there was like a gap in my learning for like a few years, probably. And so over the last year with the pandemic and working from home and everything else, I started learning again, and I'm learning a lot. So it's definitely a great time, I think, to be in business right now. Unfortunately, for some people who are, there has been challenges in different industries. But there's also some people who don't want to grow, and they want to be stubborn. Like you said, you sometimes are honest with your clients and right. But I think as a coach and mentor, it's important for you to.
But here's the thing, Rebecca. That's why the numbers are so important, and a lot of people don't understand the numbers. Where you have 54% of businesses in the U.S. make less than $40,000 a year. That's why. This is why almost 80% of the U.S. population lives check to check. If you really think about it, it's almost 80%. We're at 78%, and the number's going up. Okay. We have about a little over 322 million. The number's growing. 322 million people in the U.S. Okay. Think about that. Almost 80% live check to check.
Wow.
So when you think of numbers that big and you think of percentages that high, then you start to really think about, okay, well, if what I've been doing for this long has not worked and I'm falling into this percentage, how do I get to know what that other percentage knows so I don't continue to fall and make the same mistakes like these guys are making? Because I don't want to be in the 80%. I want to be in that 20%, And then that number gets even smaller as far as numbers that are doing companies that are doing bigger numbers.
Yeah.
Then that number starts to significantly drop. So now you're looking at a smaller percentage of the companies that are doing, 50, 100 million, 20 million, and up. And again, it has to do with having the right information. You get the right information, you get around the right people, it won't fail you.
It just seems logical. Like, how could you not be successful if you have the right knowledge and you have the right people, right? And I think absolutely having a mentor, there's a million reasons that, and Danny just gave us a bunch of reasons why you absolutely need a mentor. And Ahmed, that was a great question that you asked. Omar says, hello, Rebecca and your guest. Hello, Omar. So guys, Danny Calafell, thanks so much for joining us today. Don't forget to join my Facebook group, Social Selling Growth Masters, for more information like this and other information. I go live in there and interview such amazing guests like Danny. And we'll see you again next week. So thanks so much for joining us today, Danny, and much appreciated.